Good evening, friends, and welcome to a Friday night forensics show with Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. Tonight, we're going to cover Christopher Preciado, the murder trial, day 3 and day 4. Inside the courtroom, there was a little drama yesterday on day 3, and forensic evidence. We're going to break it down with our expert, Ed Wallace. How you doing tonight, Ed? It's Friday. It's like the good old days. We're back at it.
Shaka, baby. I'm all right.
Yeah. So a little bit of drama before we get into it. In day 3, yesterday's beginning of the trial, Christopher Preciado's father, Ramon, as we noted in our last live stream, was granted access by the judge. The judge approved for whatever reason. She thought it wouldn't be any harm or foul to let the man who we see on video. Now, granted, the family of these victims are in the courtroom, extended family, cousins, brothers, sisters, grandparents, you name it. The victims' families are in that courtroom, and now you're going to have the man who was seen on video in 2024 all over the news. This family saw the same videos that we showed the other night of that car with 3 dead people in it going around and being cleaned by the father and the son driving the car. Did she think that maybe that would cause a little bit of a ruckus in that courtroom? Could she have gone to the point of saying, hey, listen, we'll provide you with a secure courtroom outside of the courtroom, a secure room outside of the court, and you could watch the trial, and you could, be in the same courthouse with your son's going to be there. I know you want to support your son, but I didn't think it was a great idea to have him in that courtroom. And Ed, you alluded to a lot of other different aspects of having Ramon and Myrta inside that courtroom.
Well, first of all, they were both co-conspirators, and they were both arrested and charged in connection with conspiracy and tampering with evidence and tampering with a body and all this other stuff. And he has an upcoming trial. So he definitely, in my opinion, should not be allowed to be in that courtroom. Okay. Because, he's listening to this whole trial here, which he's a part of, although the cases are separated. I don't think he should be in here to hear any of this testimony of the evidence and everything that's going to be presented against him.
Ed, I agree with you 100%. Let us know in the chat how you feel. Listen, think about this. If this, God forbid, was your family and the people who helped to clean up the crime scene and dispose of your loved ones' bodies, including an unborn baby, full term. Baby Fabian was 9 months. She was going to be induced in the hospital the very next day. Think about it. Put the shoe on the other foot. I don't think if this judge was, God forbid, this was one of her family members and or somebody of the same profession, and she was presiding over the case, do you think that she'd allow that to happen? It just doesn't make sense. I don't know. Call me whatever you want to call me. I think it's ridiculous. It's crazy.
Like they used evidence. They had an expert who did testimony on the father's truck's infotainment system and an OnStar system, and the information they gleaned from that in terms of GPS locations, date and time where this vehicle was in association with these crimes.
Right.
Okay. And therefore he should not be allowed to be in the courtroom when that type of information he's going to see again in his own case is being presented. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, guess what? So she allowed it to happen. And on day 3, Savannah Soto's brothers, the 2 brothers, were just staring, like, I guess, giving, the evil eye at Ramon Preciado. Not even words. I didn't hear one word about words exchanged, like, I'm going to get you, I'm going to F you up. There was none of that. Her family was just simply gazing at Ramon Preciado sitting in the front court. He was in the front row, Ed, in the front row with
behind his son.
With 2, right behind his son, with 2 court officers sitting there, and they escorted him everywhere he went. So he had 2 bodyguards, basically, protecting him. And you think that this is going to cause a problem? Let's take a listen.
And it's good to be with you on this Thursday. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Henry Ramos. First at 4, the capital murder trial of Christopher Preciado started with a tense confrontation in the courtroom. This morning, emotions were very high. The victim's family members were told Christopher's dad, Ramon, who is out of jail on bond, would be allowed to sit in on the proceedings, and that caused a disturbance. KENS 5 Sue Kalberg was there and saw it all unfold. She joins us live. Sue, what happened here?
Well, Henry, as you said, this is an emotional issue because on background, Ramon Preciado is charged with helping Christopher dispose of the bodies of Savannah Soto and Matthew Guerra. So you can just imagine what it was like for those family members to be sitting there in the courtroom, seeing Ramon sitting in the gallery, free, supporting his son. That just caused a lot of tension. And then sitting beside him, his wife, Mirta Romanos. She had also been charged with helping dispose of the bodies, but charges against the stepmom were recently dismissed by the DA's office for further investigation. So in a courtroom that was packed with family members, a couple of them apparently traded some kind of looks with the couple. And since
and I don't know about you, but when was the last time it was a crime to stare somebody down or look at somebody or be ejected from a courtroom just for looking? They didn't even say anything. You heard what this reporter is embedded in the courtroom. She's been giving updates, at lunch and all the breaks. She comes out into the hallway and gives her updates. I've been watching her and following her. She at no time says that they said one word to her. And this deputy right here saw he looked over at the family. He was purposely looking over there.
Yeah. He seems like he was itching to toss somebody out. I think I've seen, complaints about people mouthing things. And I know cases where people were told, okay, you can't sit there no more because of your proximity to this other person. I've seen those kind of things. And I've seen other people get ejected from a court case gallery for making statements or phones going off or being disruptive in some manner.
Right. I get
but
that.
Like simply looking across and not making eye contact with the father and the mother, just the deputy sheriff that's in there. I don't know. I don't see that as
So it's both Savannah's brothers. Their brothers were just looking at Ramon and probably the mother and just looking at them in disgust. Like, how dare you come into this courtroom after we watched you on surveillance camera? Because again, the video was out just a short time after this case broke. We were watching it and breaking it down in early 2024. So, once this was out on the national stage, the families were able, like we always say, the victims' families watch what's going on the news. They watch what's going on or what's being covered on social media. So they've seen the father get out of that car and they've seen people break it down frame by frame and the mother throwing the towel. And all of it was assumed, obviously, with the mom, because we never saw her, remember? But they have video from the Preciado home of all three of them, the two of them getting into the car and going to the apartment complex and then coming back. So that's where this whole thing ties into a very disgusting level because, we didn't see, this is Ramon, Mirta right here, and Ramon is being blocked. We didn't see her, but we damn well knew for sure that it was her because they had the video of her coming and going to that location. And in court on day 3 and day 4, we heard from a vehicle expert. He talked about the Burla system. That Tommy, remember our auto crime expert Tommy talks about that all the time. They downloaded the OnStar from this guy's GMC truck, and they got complete data of all of their movements. And
Well, not complete. Certain things were deleted, but they were able to fill in the gaps.
they got enough. They got enough. All right, let's take a listen.
Kind of looks with the packed with family members. A couple of them apparently traded some kind of looks with the couple. And since everyone had already been warned to keep their composure, two of those men were ejected from the room. Now, the family was then told if anybody else had an out.
It looked like the kid in the blue was like, I didn't say anything. I didn't even say anything. Like, as he's walking out, he's making like a gesture of like, hey, why am I being thrown out?
Two of those men were ejected from the room. Now, the family was then told if anybody else had an outburst, they would be tossed, not allowed to come back, and they might even face the possibility of criminal charges. So after that initial confrontation, everything seemed to get back to normal. They went back to talking about evidence, and at 5 o'clock, we're going to.
So there you have it, Ed. I just felt like we needed to show that. And also, I believe today, the Guerra family served Ramon. I have video of it. They had a process server served him with a civil lawsuit against his company. He has, I think, an air conditioning and refrigeration company or central air company or something like that. And they served him with a lawsuit right there in the courthouse. And at one point, he just tried to ignore it. But we'll show that video in a few. But Ed, again, your thoughts on, what is the judge's thought process here? What is she thinking? That there would be no outburst? There would be no...
I'm not aware of any right that the defendant has to have co-conspirators in his crimes present in the courtroom to support him. I don't know how that impacts a fair and impartial jury or trial, rather. So I don't understand what the judge is thinking here to allow these people that she's know are co-conspirators in these crimes to be present.
Yeah.
So okay, it's like I don't know. It's like John Gotti having his entire mafia crew. His consigliere, his capo, and all his lieutenants and his other soldiers in the courtroom who are co-conspirators and having their own separate trials later, sitting behind them in the courtroom.
It's adding insult to injury, and it's really a slap in the face to the victims' families. And shame on this judge. I just I don't know any history on her, but right now it just leaves a really bad taste in everybody's mouth that's watching it. And I could see by everybody in the chat, mostly everyone here is outraged by it. So it is what it is. So let's take a look at. I like this because this is a little bit of a payback. Ramon Preciado served with papers in the courtroom, in the court hallway. It's not in the courtroom, in the hallways of the court.
And it's going to be with you on KENS 5 News at 5:30, also streaming on KENS 5 Plus. I'm Henry Ramos. A surprising development at the Christopher Preciado capital murder trial during the lunch hour. The Preciado family's company was served with notice of a civil lawsuit right in the hallway. Sue Kalberg was the only journalist present when it happened, and she has the video. Sue?
Sue seems like, to me, Ed, the only journalist covering this case. Maybe one other, but she's there every day, all day. She gets up early in the morning and is outside that courthouse and waiting to go in there. But yeah, she captured this, and kudos to Sue. She's working hard.
Henry, a process server who had a legal paper for the defendant's father showed up here in the hallway. He was looking for Ramon Preciado, who was about to return from lunch. And sure enough, within a few minutes, the lunch break was over and the Preciados were returning. That's when the process server attempted to hand off the paperwork. And at first, the Preciados refused to accept the legal notice, but when it was placed on the floor, he eventually did pick it up. Now, the server provided a copy of that paperwork to us. It says the Guerra family, who lost their son Matthew in the murder, is suing Almighty Air Conditioning. The notice says Ramon Preciado is the company's registered agent, and the clock is ticking for.
I'm surprised he was able to pick that up, Ed.
Yeah, he didn't fall over when he bent down.
Just amazing to me that our tax dollars are being used to protect these two monsters, and I don't say this. I'm not trying to be mean here, folks. These two aided their son in disposing of 3 human beings, and included in those 3 human beings was an unborn child to full-term pregnancy. Like, this woman, although she's again, her charges are dropped, but I think pending more investigation. So I'm not sure of the exact way they did this in San Antonio. It seems to be a backwards. Just the way they do things is backwards. It just doesn't make sense in San Antonio. I don't know what the hell's going on over there, but this woman, and she's the stepmom, right? She's not his biological mother. She's Ramon's wife, right? She willingly went into the car and was like, hey, let us help you get rid of these bodies. And now they're being escorted by 1, 2, I believe 3, maybe even 4.
Yeah, and where's my gun?
Yeah.
It's our gun.
Yeah, she didn't even know. She was like when the homicide detective came to her house, she's like, I don't have a key to my own bedroom. I'm sorry. I don't have the key to get into my own bedroom. And then when he told her he was going to take the door off the hinges, all of a sudden she went downstairs and found the key. So this is a piece of shit. And excuse my French, folks, but these are the low life scums. These are people who are willing to try to take their son and make this go away. It was not going to go away, and these people are just unbelievable. I'll just play it in its entirety.
And off the paperwork, and at first the Preciados refused to accept the legal notice, but when it was placed on the floor, he eventually did pick it up. Now, the server provided a copy of that paperwork to us. It says the Guerra family, who lost their son Matthew in the murder, is suing Almighty Air Conditioning. The notice says Ramon Preciado is the company's registered agent, and the clock is ticking for him to respond to the suit. Now, it says the document was filed back in December, but it was obviously just served today. And the server told us it's filed against the company because a lot of times people who feel like they've been wronged will go after a company rather than an individual because there might be an insurance payout to be had. Now, meanwhile, back in court, there was much more forensic evidence, and all of the samples collected from the car where the bodies were found were gone over in great detail. And testimony is scheduled to continue well into next week, and we will be with it throughout.
So I counted 4 deputies there, 4 deputies escorting them on our tax dollar, on the taxpayer's dime. So for the folks that are in Bexar County and in that general vicinity, you should be outraged by that, because this can, God forbid, be one of us. It could be any one of us. And if the shoe was on the other foot, I don't think you'd really like it, seeing these co-conspirators being pranced around with 4 armed court officers. It's just ridiculous. It's just
being protected like that at our taxpayers' expense.
It's sickening. It's sickening. Let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know what you think. If you're outraged, press a 1. If you think that that's their, that they should be afforded that for their safety, put a 2. I mean, there may be some people who think, maybe they deserve to be protected. I don't think so. If I had it my way, it would be a little bit different, but it is what it is.
They shouldn't be there from the get-go. That's on the judge.
Ed, I talked to you the other night about how baffled I was about no Preciado DNA. That's Christopher Preciado, 21 years old. How is that possible that we heard from a crime scene evidence technician on the stand asked if there was any DNA inside that vehicle from Christopher Preciado, and he said no.
Well, he took samples. The crime scene investigator took samples, submitted to the lab, and I don't know how they chose the samples they took and what methodology they used. Was it just swabbing? Did they cut anything out and submit, fabric or materials from the seats or the headliner, or was it just going after blood? I don't know what they chose and how they collected it, and I don't know any of that. And so, yeah, I'm quite shocked. Did the family go in there and wipe things down, or I didn't hear anybody talk about any use of any cleaners or any information saying that, hey, they did a forensic light source search of the interior of the vehicle and they found signs of the surfaces being wiped down, because you can find that with forensic light sources, especially if you're using household cleaners to attempt to do that and alter the crime scene and clean up. I just know, like I said, we say all the time here, the evidence is only good as the crime scene investigator conducting the investigation. Okay.
I don't know how good this audio is or this video. This is a YouTube short, but let's take a listen to it. I'm going to remove I'm going to leave you on, Ed, so my voice won't be.
Not hearing anything, Ron.
For surfaces.
I guess I got to be on the screen.
Have prints on them.
And I'll replay it.
Tell the jury about.
Hold on a second. I thought I could pull a slick one there and not be on with you, but let's do it. Okay, everybody should be able to hear it now.
What a latent print search is. Tell the jury about what a latent print search is.
That's where we use brushes and powder to look for any fingerprints that might be on the exterior of the vehicle.
And in your experience, is it common or uncommon for surfaces to have prints on them?
It's hard to say. I would say it's common for an exterior body of a vehicle.
Okay. Is it possible for them to not?
Yes.
Did you ever see that often in your career?
Yes. A lot.
What factors might influence whether prints would still be available to pick up?
Numerous things. It could be a smudgy and they didn't touch it right, or weather, the length of time that the print had been on there. Maybe it got hard and crusty and I couldn't pull it off. There's a lot of factors. Okay.
And when you conducted a latent print search on this vehicle, were you able to pick any up?
I have to refer to my report, if that's all right. Yeah. No, negative results.
Tell the jury about
negative results. Here's one. Some people are questioning in the audience. Ed, Jack Crane says, has Ed ever processed a car and got no DNA?
If I'm looking for when processing a car for DNA, and in all the cases that I processed, I managed to pull DNA. Now, whether the DNA was okay, I see my microphone dropped. Whether the DNA was a single source or a mixture or able to provide a profile, that's another story, because a lot of times I pulled DNA and there was DNA, but not enough. You got to remember when I started here, we were using RFLP, restricted fragmented length polymorphism, and that required like a huge sample of genetic material in order to get DNA. Then we moved to polymerized chain reaction, PCR, and then we moved to short tandem repeat. And with each successive methodology of extracting DNA, the amount of the material needed became less and less. So there was many times I got DNA, but it didn't yield a profile, or I got DNA and it was a mixture of multiple people and it was useless in those terms. But for the most part, every time I've attempted to get DNA, I got DNA.
Right. But, you know, again, and when you look at this case, right, the two of them, you obviously know their DNA is all over the car, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, if in fact he got in that back seat with that long hair that we talked, you talked about the Lecard exchange principle, how hair falls out all the time with people. And if you had some type of scuffle or if there was just any type of anything, look, we know that he removed the victim. We know that he removed the victim from the driver's seat and put him into the back seat, right?
Yeah, and that testimony came out today by the lead detective, and I was kind of shocked, to tell you the truth, about a lot of the testimony coming out of the lead detective. I don't know what this investigator's training is with the bloodstain pattern analysis, but it seemed to me, based upon the information I was reading in the press, that he was testifying to different bloodstain that he saw in the vehicle, and he was giving analysis of what he felt it meant and how it was made. And I don't know if the prosecutor moved to have him brought in as an expert in bloodstain pattern analysis, nor do I know if the defense attorney objected to him giving these opinions, because he was giving opinion evidence. And usually you can only give opinion evidence if a judge rules that you are an expert in that particular forensic discipline.
Right. And you know what? Because there's no cameras in the courtroom, we don't have a direct feed. We know that the medical examiner testified today, and we had to rely on outside sourcing reporting because there was no videos related to the medical examiner testimony that was in detail. Yes, we know the medical examiner gave the cause and manner of death, obvious, right? You know, but let's take a look and finish up day 3. This is the lead, or one of the homicide investigators that went to the house. This is going to show some little bit of body cam footage, and it's the father and son out on the front lawn, and they're talking about the DVR, the cameras to their house, and access to it, and also other things. They were told that they were going to take the car and so forth. But let's take a listen to this. The audio is kind of rough, but this is from inside the courtroom, and the press is allowed to upload this after the fact. So this is day 3. Now it's day 4. So they're able to release this per the judge's orders.
Who are you engaging with in this video?
Ramon, well, both at the time,
Okay.
Christopher and Ramon.
All right. And is State's Exhibit 91, apart from the agreed upon redactions between the parties to comply with the rules of evidence, is State's Exhibit 91 a fair and accurate recording of that interaction?
Yes.
We'd like to offer in evidence State's Exhibit 91.
No objection, Judge.
States 91 will be admitted.
May we publish on it?
Yes, ma'am.
And detective, at this point, what are you doing with the homeowner and the?
At this point, we're just letting them know why we're there.
And what was the reason that y'all were there at this point?
The truck. We wanted to let them know that we were verifying that the truck was there, and we had some concerns about it.
Ed, remember we had the neighbor across the street, Carlos,
Mhm.
on the show with us.
Mhm.
He was watching all of this as it was going down, and he was actually videoing too, taking video of this. He actually lives straight across the street and I wonder how he's doing, Tio Carlos. So shout out to him.
And didn't they find bloody money
Yes.
right across the street from this house right here?
Right here. Yeah. A neighbor was walking the dog and they found bloody money shortly after this crime happened. And that bloody money was taken into custody, booked, and tested. And it came back to Matthew Guerra.
Yeah, the blood came back to Matthew. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
There's no playback recordings. There's no play. That's what I'm saying. What are they hooked up?
Another thing that I found interesting about this, Ed, and you know, we could do this because we have experience doing this stuff. At no time would I have any of these two together at all. I would have had them completely separated. And to me, I find it. I don't know if this is maybe just, what the conversation is here, because it's hard to hear it. But as soon as I would have gotten to the scene, I would have separated both of them. I would have had my partner take one, and I would have taken the other, and so this way they don't have a chance to get their stories. Because at one point in this body cam footage, you see Ramon leaning in and speaking into his ear, and to me, that's like a huge no-no. I'm going to find that piece.
I would have tossed them too.
Yeah, right here. Look at this.
Yeah. Jersey Tomato. No, I didn't say the blood on the money came back to the defendant. The blood on the money came back to the male victim.
Yeah, the victim who was driving the car, Matthew Guerra. So here, he's leaning into his son, and this is an investigator of some sort, and he's looking at him, talk to him. This is a uniformed guy coming up, or I think that was the detective who's now retired. Just, the more I see of this stuff, the more it just bothers me. But I
definitely would have separated them. I would have controlled this a little better. I would have, right now, if they didn't have a warrant for the vehicle, you can still safeguard the vehicle from them having access to it. Now, where's the mother? Because they know from the videotape about the mother possibly being in the truck at the time. And if she's in the house, well, you could, there's an emergency exception you can make here and make entry into the house to control her movements about the house and so forth, so she doesn't destroy evidence.
I want to hear this conversation because I didn't really listen to this. Let me see if we can hear anything.
Are they recorded or they monitored? I mean, you can look at them live, but there's no playback recordings. There's no play. That's what I'm saying. What are they hooked up? We just hooked them up through the attic. No, I mean,
yeah, he's asking about the cameras, and he asked him about the DVR. Is it recording? Or
right? Does it work? Is it recording? Yeah.
Monitor the TV.
Live feed.
How do you look at it? It's like a little box. A little box. Okay. Where's that at?
He said it's a little box. Where is it at?
Yeah, but why is he asking the son and not the father? Who owns this house?
The father.
Okay.
And the father knows. Look at his eyes. Look at how freaked out he is, because he knows the jig is up. But I don't know, man. Just
did they alter the camera? Did they delete the? I mean, they'll have all this information.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just saw an excerpt of your time at the location. What were you asking Christopher about?
I had noticed cameras mounted on the exterior of the house, and I asked him if they were hooked up to or connected to a DVR, a recorder.
And why were you interested in those?
Because that would be vital to the investigation. If those cameras were recording, it could provide us footage of their actions, any movements they made, on those dates that were concerning, involving the murder.
Were you engaging?
And I want to say that we now know, thanks to obviously court testimony, that they were able to definitively point to the three of them together, the three musketeers. Two of them leaving the house to meet the son, and then all three of them coming back together. And we talked about this while this case was ongoing. And we saw that presented out in the court. But yes, 860 Andy C says his eyes are bugging out of his head. Absolutely, because he knew that the shit was getting real. And
his blood pressure must have been sky high at that point.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And he's letting his own son talk. He's not even talking for him. And again, this is his home. This is his home. So the detective is asking directly to his son where the cameras are, or where the DVR is for the camera. And he was just playing stupid. Okay, so day 3, we covered the drama. 2 of Savannah Soto's brothers escorted out of the court just for glaring at Ramon Preciado, and for good reason. I would be staring at him too. I would want to look at someone who helped to try to cover up a murder of my own sister. You would have every right to look at this guy, and it's just sickening. Digital and phone location data and communication evidence on day 3 was heavily discussed in court. We obviously haven't, the defense will have their turn to go and challenge all of these experts or, the state's witnesses. They said they have 30, I think they said 37 or 38 witnesses. They've been through 20 some odd already. So this trial potentially could be wrapping up next week. And based on a lot of circumstantial evidence, along with the computer forensics from the vehicle and the phones, the prosecution's really laid out their case. I would say, they're at least halfway through it, if not more, because there's not much more evidence as it pertains to. We heard the defense attorney say, Ed, on his opening, you're not going to hear of one piece of DNA evidence against my client. You're not going to hear about one eyewitness. You're not going to hear about any witness to the murder itself. So,
okay. Yeah, okay, you don't have any of that stuff. But what you do have is videotape from surveillance cameras all over the place showing the son here in this video operating the victim's vehicle, okay, and meeting up with the parents behind, I believe it was a bank or a commercial establishment. And then you're going to have other videotapes, you're going to have other videotapes from home surveillance cameras and the apartment complex cameras of the son leaving the house, what time, plus you have all that GPS data of the father's vehicle and security footage. You got all this other video of
Right.
them interacting with the victim's vehicle, with the victims in it. Okay. So how do you answer for that? Then you have the ballistics evidence. Now that came in today, and the firearms tool-mark examiner came in, and the crime scene investigator testified that he recovered a full cartridge, recovered a cartridge casing, and recovered a bullet from the headliner above the female victim here, and then they had other ballistics evidence recovered from autopsy, and that after the seizure of the mother's firearm from the closet of this house, they were able to link the cartridge case and the bullets back to that gun. Okay, so that's pretty strong forensic evidence.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Listen, I'm playing devil's advocate here, but at the end of the day, that's what defense attorneys do, and this is what we're going to listen to him talk about this in his opening, because his opening statement was just a couple of minutes long. Let's go to day 4. And again, as we discussed, day 4, had more of forensics, and the medical examiner came in and discussed her findings or their, I don't even know if it was a male or a female. That's so crazy. If anybody in the chat or anybody from the local San Antonio area has any kind of like transcript from inside court, I would love to be able to read that transcript, but I didn't see anything available online. So if you guys have anything, and I love and respect our true crime chatters, because some of them can really dig up some great stuff. So I'm looking for a transcript from day 3 and 4. That would be crucial for us to see those transcripts. But because of the judge's order, the judge says it can't be live streamed. Nobody outside of that courthouse could see or hear this trial. But yet Ramon and Myrta are able to have armed security.
The two co-conspirator perps are in there.
It's insane. It's insane. Here's day 4.
Thanks for joining us tonight at 5. I'm Mandy Noel, and we start with new insight in the trial for the man accused in a grisly murder of a pregnant teen and her boyfriend more than 2 years ago. Christopher Preciado is accused of killing Savannah, Soto, Matthew Guerra, and their unborn son Fabian over an apparent drug deal. Melissa Vega joins us at the live desk.
We've reached the end of the first week of this very high-profile trial, and for the first time, we're getting new insight into this murder case through the eyes of witnesses, including SAPD detective.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you for the super chat. And Eileen, thank you for being a member for 23 months. Thanks to you all. Thank you to all New Hampshire Rescue who helped my son. I mean, I'm happy for that, and I would like to know more about it. Please send me a message on DutyRon.com, Eileen. I'm glad that I hope everything turned out good. But let's listen to this.
Detective Jeremy Goodwin. He is a homicide detective, and the jury listening to Goodwin as he talked about the very moment he made the gruesome discovery of Savannah and Matthew's bodies in a car. The prosecution asking Goodwin to take the court through what he saw with Savannah and Matthew Guerra's families listening intensely as he first talked about opening the passenger side car door and seeing Savannah.
She had been sitting in that position, and she had lividity, which is a pooling of blood. As you're sitting there, the pooling of blood, the lowest part. She also had the baby carrier on top of her with some papers, mail underneath that.
Detective Goodwin then proceeded to talk about Matthew Guerra. He says Matthew's legs were over the center console of the car, his pants covered with blood, and it also appeared he had a lighter on his lap.
His body, I said, was hunched over. His left arm was hanging down. His right hand was near his groin. I noticed the apparent bullet defect in his head. And it appeared that there was that black ring around it.
Let's talk about that. First time we're hearing about his legs being over the center console. I was under the assumption that he was taken out of the driver's side door and then dragged and put back.
Well, that's their theory, and it came out in court today with this guy's testimony. I'm listening to this testimony, and I'm like, wow. I mean, he's talking about lividity, and no one objected to him talking about lividity without having said, well, what's lividity, and how do you know lividity? What is your training in this? All right. And they let it in. And now he's talking about the gunshot wound of the what he's calling the black circle, which is he's trying to say it's a contact. And hold on here. Maybe I could share one with you. Let me see here.
I got to remove mine first.
Okay. All right.
Well, let's talk about that. When someone takes a gun and points it right at someone's head and shoots it, it leaves a round ring. I remember you showed that picture, right? It's almost like a tattoo.
Well, if it's touching and it's the scalp, here, let's see what I can do here.
I'm removing this.
Let me see.
Now you can share.
Hold on, let me open up these.
Yeah,
photos.
Summer 1966. Yes, Savannah was full term. She was going to be induced at the hospital the very next day, and she didn't show up. That was Friday morning, and full term baby. Baby's life was obviously terminated when the mother's life was terminated. So that's what also brings us to a capital murder case. But the state of Texas and San Antonio prosecutors, the Bexar County prosecutor, decided they didn't want to institute the death penalty in this case when it should have been, in my opinion. Let me know what you think. I know that there's a lot of people who have feelings about the death penalty, but if there was ever a death penalty in San Antonio, this one would play heavy on that with taking not only 2 people's lives, but also an unborn child to full term.
All right, I'm gonna open this up. I hope I hope we don't have an issue here.
Yeah, what's the difference, Ed?
All right.
Issue schmishmu. But let everybody know before you share it what we're going to be looking at, Ed. So in case
we're going to be looking at a bullet wound to the scalp and the gunpowder ring around the entrance wound on a scalp. Okay.
So here, this is a good one, Maria. The mother's womb is what protected her. What protected the baby, and again, I remember that funeral, and I saw photos. Somebody leaked a photo, I think, on TikTok of it, and the baby looked perfect. And it's a miracle the way the funeral director worked on that baby to make him look like he was perfect.
Ron, are you seeing this?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, so the photograph on the right is the gunshot residue, the soot marking, and so forth of a close contact to the scalp area, and that is the ring that he's talking about. It's burned into the skin.
And what's the left one? Yeah, it looks more.
The left one is nothing. It's just the.
Okay. So it's the right photo that we're looking at.
Right. I'm going to stop sharing it.
Yep. I'll remove it.
Because usually what happens, and I can show you this too if you want to. What happens when you have here? Let me display this. When you have contact to the scalp, okay. What happens is the gases exiting the barrel get trapped between the scalp and the skin, and then the gases blow back towards the barrel of the gun and creates a star tearing effect to the skin in the direction of the barrel of the gun. So that's when the gun barrel is pressed directly into the skin. Can you see this?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. And so that's what this is showing here, and how you get that star gunshot entrance wound, which many people think is an exit, but in reality, it's the entrance. Now, with this, I'm going to stop showing it. With this, in addition to that, you get you're going to have gunshot residue that gets blasted straight into the cranial and into the brain and in there, and it just follows the track of the bullet.
Yeah.
And when you move that gun barrel muzzle away from the skin, then you may just get the ring without the tearing. All right, because a lot of the gases are going to escape by the skin because of that gap between the muzzle and the skin. So there'll be, the medical examiner testified today. She testified to the amount of entrances. I believe she also testified, and this detective also testified that he believed it was contact. excuse me. I don't know how he was allowed to do that, but he did. Then she testified to the amount of gunshots each victim had, directionality, trajectories. Some of these were perforating entrance and exits. So that's
and the medical examiner said there was multiple gunshot wounds to each victim. So again, we'll take a listen to more of this detective's testimony today.
And seeing Savannah.
She had been sitting in that position, and she had lividity, which is a point of blood. As you're sitting there, the point of blood, the lowest part. She also had the baby carrier on top of her with some papers, mail underneath that.
Detective Goodwin then proceeded to talk about Matthew Guerra. He says Matthew's legs were over the center console of the car, his pants covered with blood, and it also appeared he had a lighter on his lap.
His body, I said, was hunched over. His left arm was hanging down. His right hand was near his groin. I noticed the apparent bullet defect in his head, and it appeared that there was that black ring around it.
Very emotional testimony as the trial picks up next week, one with extra security. Both Christopher Preciado's father, Ramon Preciado, and mother, Mirta Romano, seen in this video, were escorted in. Ramon is also accused of helping his son Christopher move the bodies. A date for his trial.
It's just outrageous that continues to go on. I want to say happy birthday to Lexi, one of our great moderators and friends. I'm wishing you many, many more healthy and happy birthdays, and thank you for being here on your birthday. We feel special that you're spending part of your birthday with us. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
So Ed, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that have us kind of shaking our head as it pertains to the professionalism of this investigation, and defense is going to have probably a field day with it, and we've yet to hear any kind of cross or questioning from the defense, and they'll have their turn at it. So it should be interesting, to say the least.
Well, I mean, the one documentation of cross-examination that I saw of the crime scene investigator was, so you didn't get my client's fingerprints and you didn't get my client's DNA.
Yeah.
That's all he said. That's all he got there. Okay. I didn't hear anything about the cross on the ballistics. I was really hoping to hear that, or any cross on the medical examiner. I don't know if the medical examiner completed her testimony today, or his testimony today rather, and has to come back and complete it Monday. I'm not sure.
Let us know what you think in the chat. How closely are you watching this? Have you been reading some of the local news, the Ken's 5 reporting? Let us know where you're watching, city and state. If you're new or if you're not new, say hello. Let us know in the chat. Here's a little bit more.
Are trying to prove the defendant and his father used that truck the night they allegedly disposed of the bodies of Savannah Soto and Matthew Guerra back in December 2023. Sue Kalberg has been listening to day 4 of testimony, and she's live at the Justice Center. Sue.
Jeremy, a digital forensics tech had the stand for more than an hour this morning. He talked about all the ways electronics can yield facts about the history of vehicles. The detective told the jury onboard systems on many vehicles silently record many types of data. He said when police finally gained access to those computers, they tracked where that truck had traveled during the key times the victims were dumped in their car on the northwest side. He said there's electronic proof that the truck was at the apartment complex where the bodies were dumped, when surveillance cameras also captured images of the truck in that area, and then later at the complex where the 2 victims lived. Now, and
that's huge right there, Ed, because it puts that truck at the locations where these bodies were dumped, and also the places it traversed from the home to the apartment complex and then back. I mean, that's huge.
That's why, again, the father should not be in the courtroom.
Yeah. He should not be there.
He's going to have his own trial where this whole evidence is going to come out against him, and he shouldn't be there.
Yeah, it's a huge mistake. And again, like I said, we had our auto crime expert Tommy Burke on many times with us. They talked about the Bowler application that they use to download data from these trucks. I know I didn't say it right. Tommy's going to crucify me for that one. But they also talked about the OnStar data that they got from GM.
Right.
And that stuff is key. If you haven't watched this video, this case with us, we have a whole playlist that I'll link right below in the description, and I'll put it in one of the cards up here. You can go to the complete playlist. I think there's 36 videos that we've done on this case and this story in the past. And the reason we're, coming full circle with you guys is because we like to see as many cases as humanly possible right through to the end, whether they're popular or not. This one was very popular at the time when it was happening due to the fact that it involved an unborn full-term baby murdered here as well in the mix. It also gained national and international attention due to the fact that it was a drug deal that went wrong. And as Ed and I say, look, it doesn't matter what the people are doing. Nobody deserves to be executed for selling. This guy was selling allegedly marijuana to this guy, and Christopher was a repeat customer. So remember, we heard there was a word that there was some kind of beef where they sold them fake product. This was the word on the street in 2023 is that Matthew Guerra sold Christopher Preciado and others in that community fake marijuana or fake drugs. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what allegedly this whole thing was over a bad drug sale that went bad in the past, and then he was going to get him back. So I don't know. What do you got up on the screen, Ed?
So Maria Del Carmen is asking, were the victims shot more than one time? Yes, both victims had multiple gunshot wounds.
That was from the medical examiner today. So yeah, thank you. Daniela Williams has a good. There's a possibility. There's a possibility that there could be a mistrial. But it's going forward. This is a full week. Was it a full week? No, they started on St. Patty's Day. They got the jury set on Monday. Tuesday was the day one, and here we are, day 4. So this trial is only set to last for 2 weeks. So we shall see. We shall see. And it sucks that this very judge right here on the screen, this judge said no live streaming. We know that there's a camera in the courtroom because there's one news agency that's providing the clips after the fact. But we're not getting the full picture of everything that happened during the whole course of day 1 through 4. We're just, we're at the mercy of the news.
Other scientific link, they talked about a Bexar County crime that the truck was at the apartment complex where the bodies were dumped when surveillance cameras also captured images of the truck in that area, and then later at the complex where the 2 victims lived. Now, another scientific link, they talked about a Bexar County crime lab expert said some bloody money found near the Preciado home at the time of the murder could be linked directly to victim Matthew Guerra. The money was found in the street by a woman who was out walking her dog. Now, the testimony still continues at this hour. The judge told everybody she wants to continue to press on because they have many more days of testimony that they still have to get through next week, and we will stay with it live.
All right, so that's it. We're going to go to the audience. I want to say thank you to everyone who sent super chats. Eileen, thank you for that message. Hopefully you'll send me one on DutyRon.com. Thank you for the 10, Terry. I really learn a lot from you guys. Thank you for the great content. Well, we both thank you. And Thunder, thank you for the notification from the psych ward 5150. Happy birthday, Alexi. Happy birthday. Hashtag Ed, hashtag DutyRon. Angela's in the chat. She's not out dancing tonight. I'm surprised. Hello, Angela. Good to see you. Well, it's early. She might be going out. I'm just scanning San Antonio 5, Ken's 5 to see if there's any other info. Ed, you see anything in the chat?
Don't forget Heather, whatever.
Oh, Heather. There she is right there. Thank you. She's a member for over 40 months. And thank you to the channel members. Thank you to the replay viewers. Thank you to the live chatters. Thank you for folks who buy cups of coffee, who support us on Patreon, who are, the members. We're going to do some members only over the weekend. We'll get some stuff going on. Angela says she's sick. She must be really sick because she's gone out with crutches on, with her leg in a boot and danced with one leg. I know all about you, Ange. Nothing, no updates on this case. I'm trying to look for a transcript. If anybody can find me a transcript from court, I would be forever in your debt. I appreciate that. So I hope everybody can search for any type of transcripts. But yeah, so the car seen on video, we played that the other day. That is gripping to see that the father getting out and wiping the towel. Would anybody want to see that again? I'll play that real quick before we close up. What do you got, Ed?
Well, we got a member for 46 months. Glenda. Okay, and
thank you, Glenda. Thank you for being a member. Day one testimony, Preciado crime scene photos. Oh, here it is. I got it.
Thank you for the $3 super sticker.
Itty bitty.
Little bitty 733.
All right, so here's that. This is the video from
the father and the mother pulling up in the pickup truck, and then the son is going to come in the opposite direction in the victim's vehicle.
This is December 23rd, I believe.
And that had to be a transfer of evidence from the son to the victim, to the father's vehicle when the son parks the vehicle in the apartment complex and then gets out and gets into the father's truck.
Right. So up here where my cursor is the father's truck. And then you see the Kia with the 3 victims in it, deceased at this time. You see the lights flash as it comes around the corner here. I don't know if that's him trying to let his father know, hey, it's me, or he just hit the flash, the blinker or the flashers inadvertently. You see it right up here. It's really chilling to see this video, knowing that the bodies are inside this car. And we know that the windows were dark tinted. And when we saw the body cam footage at the crime scene on December 26th, we saw that the family member going up to the window, and he really had to lean in. Ed, did you notice that? He had to really lean in to see in the back and to see Matthew Guerra in the back. And then he leaned in again a second time to the car on the passenger side to see Savannah, or to look for Savannah in the front of the car. It was really heartbreaking to see that. And I don't know who those family members are, but my heart definitely breaks for them. There's no sound to this. Here's fat father getting out. Wow, he has a big belly there. I know he lost a lot of weight in prison, but looks like he gained it all back. And BB2, member for 42 months. Thank you for covering this. I remember when this broke in the news. Yeah.
Yeah, now the father's wiping down the car outside there with the towel that his wife gave him.
Yeah, and we noticed he pushed the son back in. What was the son getting out and saying, hey, Dad, you drive the car?
He was trying to get out.
Yeah, I think that he was wussing out, the son, and the father was like, you did this, you finish it. Yeah, the door's open. Yeah, and he's getting out there and he pushes him back down. I know we had another angle where it was closer up. But if it wasn't for this apartment complex having this video, this would be a tough case. This would be a much more difficult case for them to prove, in my opinion. This is huge. This is why it really is outrageous that the judge allowed, she knows that this exists. Here it is. The judge knows that this piece of evidence exists and that the family has seen this. And she still allowed that son of a bitch to be in that courtroom. Sickening. Nicholas, thank you for the 10. Thank you, Ron and Ed, for all your and our. Let me go back.
That single-story home you see in these images.
We're not interested in the house fire, Ed.
I'm not. Okay.
I want to go back to the amplified one. Here it is. Nicholas, thank you for the 10. Thank you, Ron and Ed, for all you and our men and women in blue do to keep us safe. Well, thank you. We're honored and we appreciate that. God, it almost doesn't look real, the belly there, right? Whew. Oofa. I shouldn't talk. I'm fat myself, but he's a big man, and he helped his son, and he knew that those bodies were in that car, and so did Myrta. She's in that truck with him. It's despicable. It's just despicable, folks.
Alrighty.
Yeah. So let's wrap it up by saying, hey, it's the weekend. The weekend's here. Mrs. DutyRon has COVID-19. Can you believe that we're still talking about that in 2026? She is sick as a dog, and I've been sticking as close as I can to helping her and keeping my distance. I just got over a really bad cold, some type of upper respiratory, upper sinus thing. So I'm hanging inside with the missus. I am, like I said, very germy. This whole house is germy, and I'm hoping that we all get better soon. Ed, I'll go to you for final words.
All right, folks. Thanks for being here with us. Thanks for spending your time. I know you can get your true crime fix anywhere you like, but it's an honor that you share your time with us, your valuable time. I want you to always stay safe, stay prepared, and watch your six.
Amen to that, brother. And as I always like to say, strength, prayers, and positive vibes to the prosecution team. They are charged with proving beyond a reasonable doubt that Christopher Preciado did in fact murder Matthew Guerra, Savannah Soto, and baby Fabian. I also want to send my strength and prayers and my sincere heartfelt wishes to the Soto and Guerra family. They're going through it, and now it's in their face. They have seen crime scene photos of their loved ones inside that car. Gruesome to have to see that. So I pray for their strength, and no matter what their loved ones were doing that led up to this, it doesn't matter. Nobody deserves to be brutally executed like that. So sending strength, prayers, and positive vibes to everyone in the community. And thank you for being here. Thank you most importantly to our moderators and the replay viewers and everybody who's a part of this community. We wouldn't be able to do this without you. Thank you from New York, and we'll see you again soon. Good night.